key takeaway number 2, that time and self-motivation are key drivers of walking behavior. That we do see a lot of people saying that they don't have the time or are perceiving I already walk enough or don't have any place to walk. The community is not walkable as being major barriers to walking. And again, overall, relatively few cite external factors like neighborhood crime as a real deterrent. So I think knowing that public is already largely on board with the health advantages of walking and focus more on these other issues, I think has important implications for messaging, in that you want to put the emphasis more on how, when, and where people can walk rather than on why they should. That you can convince people they can walk more, it becomes more important than telling them they should do so. And finally, and I see I'm out of time here, I'll just say very quickly, that a majority of Americans say their community is walkable. I guess most probably is a little overstatement there, but a majority, again, that roughly 60-40 split between those who say their community is walkable as it is now. And I look at this as good news, because it shows that a majority believe they already live in a walkable community and are not seeing that as what's holding them back. But it also clearly does suggest that 40% do see that as a barrier, and I think that underscores some of the importance of focusing on the neighborhood improvements and walkability things that communities can do to encourage walking behavior. So bottom line is, I think the data is generally good news for the pro-walking message, that the battle of why has been won, and it's focusing more on social enforcement of the message and saying, yes, you can, that this is a doable and achievable benefit that you can reach in your own community and in your own life. I think that's the key lesson that comes from the data. Now I'll stop there, and I think Tyler want to open up for any questions if we have time.
Yeah, we just have a couple of minutes for questions, but anything that emerges either for clarification or areas that you would suggest we go deeper in follow-up, because one of the most important things is that the Everybody Walk Collaborative Research Committee, as you mentioned, is going to be digging deeper.
Yes.
And working with Dr. Peter Tuckle and Bill Mosarski from
Yes.
Hunter College, who are a big part of this. We're going to move this forward.
Yes.
So just really briefly, key questions, things for further. Please stand up, call out your name.
Yes, I conveniently have a slide lined up in case that question came up.
There's a good researcher.
That I didn't want to start there and lose you in the methodology, but I am prepared. The survey was very broadly a general population survey, no special screener other than 18 plus US resident. And their interviews were conducted using GFK's Knowledge Panel, which is an online survey panel that, unlike other online panels, is actually recruited through an offline methodology to get a truly representative sample of the general public, and therefore has been accepted by government and the media as a true probability sample that is representative of the public. So what we took, in other words, using that as the pool, interviewed a total of 1,224 people, and that included a base sample of true national representation of 1,028, and supplemented that with oversamples, as we call them, of African Americans and Hispanics to have more sizable pools of people in those categories for some of the deeper analysis that we talked about, looking at different communities. And this was all conducted in August of this year, in roughly a 20-minute survey.
Time for one other brief question, gentlemen.
Interesting. Interesting question, and I'd say that that is something that with this survey data, there's some room to delve more deeply into that, and with additional research, obviously, I think that is a key question of letting people, in their own words, define what is walkability and the connotation of that. The decision that we made in crafting the survey is we defined walkability for them in terms of there are convenient destinations that within walking distance. Did not ask, in other words, we did not define it in a way that suggested, is it just a nice place to walk around for exercise? I mean, there was a separate question about, is walking in your neighborhood pleasurable? And a majority did say yes. But we defined walkability kind of in that narrow sense. And I think that is a very good point of delving into what are the components of walkability in people's minds and what are the positive and negative connotations of that.